yɛda twɛde ampɔ Nyankopɔn ase sɛ the so de yɛnkwa akyɛ aha ɛyɛ Akoma TV so memma wo refi so be like wo comment wo subscribe no wa share na notification bell no nsa etumi abosama yɛ sɛ ne bia yɛ news aba bonte a so nsa ebetumi aka no first medin ɛde obinge bro sechi na medical sibo ebrem na ɛyɛ finance minister ɛyɛ Ken Ofori Atta ne sɛ Bank of Ghana mpanyinfo da kopiem ɛwɔ Washington na ɛyɛ IMF nsensemi na ntie ba ne sɛ me ɛna sɛ sika ne betwa bepiem ɛwɔ yɛ man Ghana mu na ampanyampa wo gye ne yɛ pa sɛ man Ghana yɛbetumi yɛ sika ne sɛ ma bibia so etumi akosuo wɔ man Ghana mu ana sanso na Brian a champion a sɛ yɛ kuwu afahye bi no ɔkɔyɛ de ɔkɔka nsem bi wɔ about violence so no fa to me the new National Democratic Congress no no so no se betumi invite na CID to invite na one officer no so ɔkɔkɔ yi mu so sɛm anso ano sanso na the National Democratic Congress John Dramani Mahama ɛbɔ na pro gidi sɛ ɛyɛ afe 2024 no betumi abɛbɛdi nkuna bibia so etumi akɔsi enti no wogye die pa sɛ MPP bɛyɛ hwɛhan ɛde tumi ama the National Democratic Congress na no so no sɛ no so ba enti no nsɛm bi ayɛ ɛkɔ so nsɛm no de ano ɛyɛ hye papa enti mo ɛnkɔ tie audio no sɛ ne sitie so wɔ
Right, Mr. Ken Ofori Atta says the nation hopes to secure an IMF board approval for its $3 billion loan agreement by May. Now, securing this will, however, require meeting the critical target of bringing debt to GDP ratio to 55% by 2028 and reducing the country's external debt servicing ratio. Achieving these can, however, prove to be challenging. As Mr. Ofori Atta says, the nation has so far been able to restructure only $1.6 billion of its $30.5 billion external debt. Now, this is despite not seeking to restructure some $8.8 billion. Listen to the minister address the investor community earlier today.
The total stock of external debt amounted to $30.5 billion. So far, we've structured the equivalent of $1.6 billion belonging to the non-resident holders of domestic debt. We have $8.8 billion that are held by multilateral development banks and therefore are not being restructured. The remainder of the external debt amounting to $20 billion encompasses $14.6 billion of commercial debt and $5.4 billion of bilateral debt treated under the common framework. We are reaching out to all our external commercial creditors because you are an integral part of the solution to our current economic and financial crisis. We value the long-standing relationships we have with you and appreciate the continued support you have provided to Ghana, and we look forward to that relationship continuing.
He, however, remains confident of securing the board approval latest by May.
Look forward to the discussions with our international bondholders and other external commercial creditors to work towards a solution to attain the type of stability that will be required for us to create a better future for all of us. We do at this time expect IMF board approval in May at the latest and contemplate a rapid negotiation of a memorandum of understanding with our official creditors.
Now, Mr. Ofori Atta says the aim is to achieve economic stability through the IMF program.
So our prime objective is to restore public debt sustainability and ensure a full financing of the program. Two key conditions for the IMF board to approve the program and proceed with the much needed financial disbursement under an extended credit facility. This will require, among other targets, bringing the ratio of the present value of our total public debt to GDP to 55% by 2028 and bringing our external debt service to revenue ratio below 18% from 2028. This will also require securing enough financial assistance from our development partners to meet our gross financing needs over the period of the program. And this will be of paramount importance to ensure that the IMF program is fully funded.
Now we're joined via Zoom by Joy News business editor George Wiafe, who is in the Washington, D.C. monitoring event for us. Now, George, this afternoon's press briefing was targeted at getting commercial creditors to the negotiation table. Were they convinced by the finance minister's presentation? Yes, perfect.
So I'm saying that convince is $1 billion question that still deserves us or trying to get some answers on that one. But it appears that they've seen their way clear in terms of the way forward and the plan or what the minister or government is trying to do to try and stabilize the economy. And therefore, the uncertainties, the lingering questions, some would say, some of them have been partly addressed.
Now, is it a case that we have found favor in the eyes of the IMF director, listening to how she's been consistent with calling for help for Ghana?
Well, favor might be a very interesting word to use, but for her, and just a while ago during the press conference, her argument was that look at Ghana's track record in terms of macroeconomic stability and what they've been able to do, the rising star of Africa, and how they've been able to manage the economy over the years. And so, if a very controversial comment said, if due to externalities they found themselves in this position, they deserve to be helped. And that is a conviction about her willingness to help. And I explained to you earlier that I stand to be educated and corrected, but following the IMF, I haven't seen a situation where a country is requesting for program and the chief examiner here is just saying that, listen, just even submit your blank sheet or something, I'll pass you. So for her, her argument is based on the fact that she believes that Ghana's track record suggests that they haven't been that of a bad child or a bad student. And therefore, if they are in crisis right now, they deserve to be supported.
Of course, from the World Bank, the IMF, G24 countries, and even the US Treasury to fast-track talks with developing countries. I mean, China has been called to do that, to fast-track talks with developing countries like Ghana, Zambia, and all of that. Are these calls yielding any impact? Do you foresee that?
Well, I just walked out of a G20 briefing, and you get the sense that now China has given that firm commitment that they will fast-track discussions. I mean, China is now being put in that box of being the cause of delay, for instance, on Zambia's issues and all the rest. So at this G20 meetings, China's argument is that, listen, they are now committed to fast-tracking debt restructuring discussions on Ghana and then Zambia. So again, that could be a plus for us as well.
I mean, if you look at how the whole thing has gone after this particular meeting by the finance minister, meeting the external creditors and all the Eurobond creditors and all of you, I mean, what has been the reaction by the creditors and Ghana's team after this crucial meeting this afternoon?
When you engage the Ghana team, their argument is that, listen, all the things that the country is supposed to do for a program, they believe that they've done what they're supposed to do. And therefore, for anybody who has the doubts about their commitment to putting in place those measures to improve revenue, anyone who has doubts about putting in place those, talk about the zero financing, understand that that memorandum of understanding has been reached, and all these things that the fund had put for in terms of the preconditions, they've done it. So it's like, listen, we've done what we're supposed to do. So what else again should we be doing to convince these external investors, to convince these multilaterals that we are indeed committed to putting in place those measures to stabilize the economy? If you engage some of these investors as well, you get that understanding that they are now kind of seeing their way clear.
Okay.
They are concerned about whether they really want to participate in this debt restructuring or not, but they see their way clear right now in terms of some progress being made, and that is what actually brings them some comfort.
George, we are grateful for joining us all the way from Washington, D.C. George Wefe is monitoring that IMF World Bank Spring meeting currently underway in Washington, D.C. Now in studio, research and data analyst Isaac Ofori joins me in studio.
The way any summer echoes over your mind can mark, yes, we are going way the moon to work, Cassiano, and I'm quite so. But also, comment section when I watch the watching, I remember say, well, like no, I wash it, the notification button, the moon, I pass, senior, the news is so about what I want someone side to me, I can't face. We did, and I saw the big game of such, and I'm the Jimmy, more chairman. Macron.